So this isn't my living room yet, but it is an actual rendering of my current living room itself. I created this with just a few minutes with it using a photo of my actual living room, inspirational images, and ChatGPT. So it used to probably take me hours of re-imaging, trying to recreate, prompt, draw out what I wanted to visualize in my head outside and make it come together is now so much faster with the new version of ChatGPT. And I'm not like a ChatGPT versus Claude person. I actually started with Claude last night, and what I received, I had to use to reprompt within ChatGPT to be able to create something this beautiful. So, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Sadie. I'm an AI professional, design enthusiast, and a budget savvy homeowner. I teach you how to use AI to create a home that you love while saving money on renovations, using design decisions, and decorating your home. And don't worry, you do not need to be an expert in either of these. I'll show you exactly what you need to do to have the right tools to visualize your ideas, avoid costly mistakes, and then make confident decisions when spending every dollar. In this case, I knew that I did not want to drastically change my entire flow of what I currently have. I just wanted to upgrade it in a way that made sense. So let me walk you through my process last night of me updating and prompting within ChatGPT and what I received in this beautiful visual. So if you can believe it or not, this is my actual living room, and it is very builder grade. It's not bad. It's very beautiful, like by all means, but it wasn't complete in my mind. I knew a couple things. One, I hated shiplap. I'm over the Chip and Joanne shiplap. This is the only shiplap in my house, and it's like bizarrely in the fireplace. So I knew I wanted a more Venetian style stucco fireplace. But in order to do that, I didn't want it to be like its standalone piece itself. I also didn't want to recreate the entire fireplace and have something built that was just unreasonable. So that was number one. Two, I wanted to make sure this wood on the mantle stayed. It's a very beautiful piece, like an accent wood, and I wanted to bring that into the built-ins. The built-ins itself are not done. They look incomplete. The white shelves have no character, and it should feel more encapsulated than it does now. So, using a couple photos along with this one, I prompted within ChatGPT to be able to build out my dream or more visually appealing living room. This is the second photo I used to be able to build out what I wanted to visualize within the fireplace. So as you can see, we need more visual. This fireplace itself is still a square, and I knew I wanted to keep that. But I wanted to bring a little bit more dimension within the fireplace itself by creating some kind of curvature that was more 3D, not functional, and didn't change the overall shape, but brought a little bit more character. So I used this photo along with a bunch of prompting cases. So I knew I wanted something that was arched and more complete. Now, this doesn't bring in all of the same character I was hoping for, but it does have a completeness, as you can see, around the edge of the bookcase, and it does just have two simple shelves that are also spaced pretty evenly. That is something that my original bookcase did not have, if you noticed here. All this open space, these were also oddly spaced, where the top one, you couldn't set anything on it, to be completely transparent. It just didn't make sense to me. So what I ended up doing was prompting ChatGPT to say, I need a more holistic view of this. I need it to be arched. I want a brass light on the top. And ideally, I would keep the same two shelves on the bottom and remove the top shelf. And with that, I would actually just wrap these shelves with veneer and stain them versus trying to create a whole new shelf, pull in hardwood, etc. This is actually really good. And what I did was, after that, I ended up prompting to the next level of, well, how do we bring in that with the Venetian fireplace and still keep the wood tones? And this is what it gave me. It's pretty amazing what it can do when you prompt it correctly. So originally, I pulled this in. So when prompting within ChatGPT, I actually had an original rendering from Claude. And if you can see, this is what Claude gave me after I was very specific around moving this height of the shelves, trying to not to arch this so low, pull in a different light, you name it. This is the best version of what Claude actually gave me. Now, when I used that and I wanted to just say something incredibly simple, essentially improve the rendering by making the arch on the top of the bookcase the same color as the cabinets, which it wasn't, and also make the arch a little bit longer. In this case, it was very short and it didn't make sense. This is what it gave me. It gave me this really beautiful, very similar to what I have in the original picture. There, view. Gorgeous. Now from there, I needed the colors to be iron ore. It was off slightly, but very easy to prompt to be able to do this. I needed the background of the bookcase to be white because I knew I wasn't going to paint it, and I really wanted the shelves to pop. And I didn't want a big dark space at the same time. So it did that, which great. I also asked it to essentially narrow the bookcase itself. In this case, they made it very wide, and in my actual picture, my living room is not that wide. So for some reason, Claude started wider, it narrowed it down in that space, and kept going from there. So I didn't like the top lighting. I asked it to make it a circular light. The rest of my lights in my house are all circular. I didn't want a standard picture frame light. It updated that really well. And then I started layering in the Venetian plaster into the fireplace. So the first version you can see here, when I gave them the example picture, it just created a full square. Beautiful, makes sense. I prompted it with the second photo, which ended up creating more of a curve to the mantle, more of something I wanted. But then I knew I wasn't going to have someone come in and re-drywall and create another fireplace. I wanted to keep the same structure. So this was the final version. As you can see, structure is rectangular. There's still the curvature in the architectural view. Beautiful texture with the Venetian plaster. And then finally, it had already created the views that I needed for my bookcases, so it just layered those onto the side itself. It can go crazy. I started pulling in my kitchen. I started pulling in all sorts of views, which I'll do another video on next. But as you can see, this view itself really looks like what I was hoping for. I cannot be more impressed with the way this all came together. You really don't need to be someone who's an expert. Just have a couple photos, have a couple inspiration photos, and just be very clear and concise of what you're looking for when it comes down to the changes that need to be made. Hope that helps.